Welcome to the way. Welcome to the way of mastery. I'm Earl Purdy, and my friends call me Raj. I'm going to welcome my mighty companions to the way of mastery. Welcome to the way of mastery. Welcome to the way of mastery. We're going to go deep into the way of mastery here on Facebook Live. We got the mighty companions coming online right now. And I'm so glad to be here with you to remember the truth. So I'd like for you to take a breath right now and let yourself start to get centered so that we can hear the words of Yeshua and hear what Yeshua wants us to remember. We are taking a break from the world. It's time to take a break from the world. Let go of all the things that you think are true for a minute and remember that you don't have to believe it, accept it, or welcome it. Some of the ideas are going to be hard to believe and even quite startling. You are not asked to judge the ideas at all. No, you are not. You are not asked to analyze the ideas at all. Some of the ideas you may actively resist, and some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. And some of the ideas are going to be quite startling. You are not asked to analyze the ideas at all. It's their use that will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. Welcome, mighty companions. Welcome to the Way of Mastery. I'm Earl Purdy, and we're going to dive right in. It's so good to see you online. I hope you share the live video on your timeline. I am doing what the Course in Miracles calls a little defense against the truth, which is having a little bit of a scratchy throat, because my ego, the part of me that doesn't want me to tell the truth, because I've been seeing so much truth and having so much love and having so many miracles and having so many breakthroughs, that the part of me that doesn't think I deserve that, which the Course in Miracles in the Way of Mastery describes as the ego, has been, that part of my mind has been trying to attack the body in order for me not to be able to share the message of truth. And that is my call for God. It is my call for love. It's not a call for correction. It's not a call for nobody to try to fix me. It's just sharing with you honestly and authentically what's going on. I know what's going on. It's a call for love. It's a call for health. It's a call for healing. And the Course in Miracles teaches that we should always ask for the correct perception of the body, and then do whatever needs to be done on the external level, like a throat lounger, as a symbolic gesture to show that you are willing to be healed. So there's nothing wrong with relying on external healing methods as well as internal healing methods. And last week we talked about, we were on a section I'm going to continue on. It's called The Doorway to Greater God Consciousness, because it has so many incredible points that I wanted to make sure that I covered those with you. So we're going to be on page 331 in the Way of Knowing, page 331 in the Way of Knowing in the Way of Mastery book. We're going to be on the section called The Doorway to Greater God Consciousness, and I'll call it part 2. Because we talked about it last week. It's in the Way of Knowing, lesson 28. And lesson 28 is you and you alone create your tomorrows. And we're on page 331. So if anyone comes online and wants to know where we're located, I want to ask you to let them know so that I won't stop the flow of what I'm doing to try to tell someone where we're located in the book. I'm so glad to be here with you. I want to tell you something. This stuff is true. This stuff is true. You will not regret focusing your attention on the way of mastery and practicing it. You will not regret if you also a Course in Miracles student to really get into the Course in Miracles. Yeshua, or Jesus, who is the actual voice of the way of mastery through the channel, is telling us some stuff that is incredible. And the paragraph that I want to start with is paragraph 3 in the Doorway to Greater Consciousness. Paragraph 3, actually paragraph 4, which is at the top of page 331. And I'm going to go through it with you. And now I want to say again, the first step in accepting the truth, the first step in changing your mind is to just let yourself hear the premises. Let yourself hear what the way of mastery is saying, what Yeshua is saying. Before you get into your analytical mind, before you try to break it down, analyze it, judge it, figure it out, just let that part of your mind rest for a minute, okay? And what we're going to do together as mighty companions is we want to hear the message that our teacher is teaching us. And so we're on page 331, paragraph 4. I'm going to go through the paragraph, and then we're going to hear it. It says, it starts off by saying, serve only that voice of truth within yourself. So what is it that we are supposed to serve? Let me get my Kindle because I can see it a lot better. Serve only that voice of truth within yourself. Serve only the voice of truth within yourself. Now, wisdom text, in order to really get what a wisdom text is teaching, the first thing you want to do is you want to take it slow. Because we all are pretty good at reading, we'll read, but sometimes we'll read without comprehension. So in my 40 years of working in New Thought, what I've learned is when you slow way down, you will be amazed at how you impact your consciousness. So, and when you do it in a question and answer form, it hooks the mind. Serve only that voice of truth. What voice of truth? The voice of truth within yourself. Now, what is it that the voice of truth within yourself says? That voice of truth within you is the voice that says, for example, go start a garden today. First you think, oh, yeah. Then you realize, well, the truth is I don't know how to garden. How am I going to figure this out? But I really want to start a garden. Go start. Sometimes we get caught up on when is the absolute perfect time to start. But you'll find out that the universe supports you the once you go ahead and begin to follow your heart and really follow and serve that truth in you, and you decide to move forward. Now, some would say go and start the garden because your inner self says start a garden even if you didn't know how to do it. Some would say that this is living your authenticity. The way a master says, I do not speak of what is authentic as being what the mind thinks. So what did we just hear? It has nothing to do with what the mind thinks, because that's a social image. That's not authentic at all. Your social image, how you look to other people, being authentic in terms of how you look to other people, that's not being really authentic. What that is a mask. Now, from time to time, I'm going to stop and clear my throat because I could have canceled the class, but I'm going to tell you why I didn't. Because I don't want to convince that part of me that tried to stop me from teaching tonight that if it puts enough discomfort on my body, then I'm not going to fulfill my function as a messenger of God. I've learned over the years that you need your teaching and your learning the most in situations that seem to be most upsetting, that when you're going through a challenge. So I'm going to practice my function the most whenever I'm in a misperception of the body. And so that's why I was determined to do this presentation tonight, regardless of what was going on within my body. And that's what I would advise you to do. When you're most upset, when things seem to be the most crazy or they're going in a different direction from how you'd like them to go, that's when you need to study the most. That's when you need to practice the principles the most. Yeah, I'm going to feel better soon. Like I say, I'm using this as a teaching moment, not as a moment to be looked at as if that there's something wrong with me, even though I appreciate your compassion and understanding. I want to show you a living example of practicing what I'm teaching. I don't want to fake like every day I'm always happy, every day I'm always feeling good, that there's never a time that I get upset and I'm always have 100% faith. That's crap. And everybody that tells you that they do that all the time, that's crap, because if they did, they wouldn't be in this plane, they wouldn't be learning this lesson. And I want you to feel innocent about whatever you're feeling or whatever you're going through. So I'm not going to project an image as if I'm in perfect joy all the time. What I am is more committed and dedicated to the truth than ever before. What I'm doing is listening to what the truth tells me more than ever before. But I'm not going to fake with you like I'm always feeling good in the body, because you don't either. We're the same. Do you hear me? We're the same. All of us are the same. We're all either expressing love or we're calling for love. So what is authentic? What is authentic is what you feel in the core. What's authentic is what you feel in the depth of your being, what you feel in innocence. And thank you for, Ingrid, thank you for sending me out loving, healing energy. All of you. So what do I mean by that? Okay. How does the innocent heart operate? How do you operate when you're feeling innocent? Okay. When you're feeling innocent, the innocent heart is not needy. So when you're operating from innocence, you won't be needy. The innocent heart doesn't require selected individuals to agree with it. So when you're being your authentic self, you don't need anybody else's okay. You don't need anybody else's approval. You don't need anybody else's innocence. You don't need anybody else to tell you you're okay. You don't need anybody else's approval. The innocent heart does not wait until the universe nods its head in approval. The innocent heart merely knows that it's innocent and then acts from it. I'm innocent, and so I'm acting from it. I'm innocent whether I feel happy. I'm innocent if I feel sad. I'm innocent if my body seems healthy. I'm innocent if it looks like my body is sick. I'm innocent whether my relationship seems to be going great. I'm innocent if my relationship is pathetic. I'm innocent. You're innocent. We're innocent. The innocent heart knows it's innocent and it acts from that innocence. So the innocent heart is not attached to the opinions of the world. So what is it that an innocent heart is not attached to? An innocent heart is not attached to the opinions of the world, to the opinions of people, to the opinions of things. So when you're innocent, you're very strong. And when you're innocent, you're not caring about what other people think about what you do. When you know you're doing the thing that's authentic to you and you're doing it from the heart. So authenticity is the core through which the Christ mind grows. So if you want your Christ mind to grow, if you want your truth mind to grow, if you want your love self to grow, the core to making that happen is authenticity. So we're going to be talking about authenticity, being authentic. That's what I'm being with you right now. When I teach, I've been teaching for 40 years. And what I've learned is that there's nothing more important than just being present, being yourself, being in touch with the love that you are, acting from that love and innocence, knowing that people who feel guilty, people who feel like they're not enough, people who are wounded, those parts of you that hate themselves, that's called other people, people who don't love themselves can feel very frightened when they're in the presence of someone who's being authentic. The Way of Mastery and the Course in Miracles both talk about how when you're being your authentic self, some people are just not going to like you. Someone that's afraid to be themselves can feel threatened in the presence of someone who has confidence, who has love, and who's being authentic. So anytime you look, anytime you see that you have not been living authentically, this is what you do when you notice you're not being real. You decide to take a deep breath. Okay, I feel like I'm being too concerned about what other people think. I'm not being my authentic self. I need to take a deep breath. I need to let all my illusions be shattered. I need to let all my false ideas be shattered. So how do you allow your illusions to be shattered? You have to become transparent. So if you want your false ideas to be shattered, if you want your fears to be shattered, those are definitions of illusions. You do that by telling the truth, telling the real truth, like I am responsible for how I see things. I'm choosing the feelings that I experience. I'm deciding on the goals I would achieve. Everything that seems to happen to me, I'm asking for it. I'm calling it to myself, and I'm receiving it as I would ask. That's what I mean by telling the truth. Telling the truth is not, I don't really like that dress you're wearing. Telling the truth is not, oh, I think you need to lose 5 pounds. All that's ego stuff. That don't have anything to do with anything real. Telling the truth means telling the truth that we are learning, that we are unlimited beings, that we are spiritual beings, that we are creators, that we are one with each other. That's telling the truth. Telling me about how you feel about my pants, if you don't like it, that isn't telling me the truth. Also, you need to allow whatever changes that need to occur. So I'm willing to allow, like right now, I'm going to say to myself, you know, I'm willing to allow whatever changes that need to occur in my life to occur. And why don't you do that? Say, I am willing to allow whatever changes that need to happen in my life to happen in my life. I am willing for whatever changes that need to happen to happen. That's when you're growing your Christ mind. That's how you know you are growing your love mind, your true mind. How do you know? Well, when you feel like you're not being real, what do? You take a deep breath, first of all. And then you become transparent. You tell the truth. Then you allow whatever you tell yourself, and you allow whatever changes that need to happen. You say, I'm willing, whatever changes need to happen in all of my relationships, I'm willing for that change to happen. Whatever change that needs to happen in all of my relationships, in order for me to have peace and joy in all of my relationships, I'm willing to happen. Whatever changes that need to occur in my financial situation and in my perception of my financial situation, I'm willing to happen. Whatever changes that need to occur within my body and in my bodily situation, I'm willing to happen. You just apply that attitude to every situation and circumstance in your life. Then you are growing in your Christ mind because you're not resisting whatever changes that need to occur. So in the way of knowing, there's something you're supposed to ask yourself constantly. So what is it that you're supposed to ask yourself constantly if you are in the way of knowing? Where am I being authentic? Okay, I want you, now when we go through this together, mighty companions, I want us to really give ourselves the experience of this. So I want you to stop and do this with me. Ask yourself, where am I being inauthentic? Where are you being inauthentic? Where are you being inauthentic? So what does it mean to be inauthentic? Where are you just showing up the way you think that someone needs for you to show up? Where are you just showing up the way you think you need to show up? Not necessarily the way you want to show up, but where are you showing up the way you think you ought to show up? Where are you showing up where you think you need to show up? So you ask yourself, where am I being inauthentic? Where am I showing up? It says here in the way of mastery, where am I just showing up the way that I think Harry down the street needs me to show up? Where am I showing up how I think my children need me to show up? Where am I showing up the way I think my mate wants me to show up? My boss wants me to show up. Where am I showing up the way I think my friends want me to show up? Where am I being inauthentic right now? Let me give you an example. For instance, if you are a vegetarian, where are you being a vegetarian so that you can feel superior to those who aren't? If you're a vegetarian, are you using being a vegetarian to make you think you're better than people who aren't vegetarians? As a vegetarian, do you judge people who are not vegetarians? If you are a person who is not a vegetarian, are you judging vegetarians? Are you somehow judging them, making fun of them? Where are you controlling your diet because you are afraid that this substance will make you less spiritual? So are you controlling your diet and being a vegetarian because of fear? Are you controlling your diet and being a vegetarian because you think if you eat meat, it makes you less spiritual? These are questions that the way of mastery is saying you need to ask yourself, because do you know that whatever you're doing out of fear, you're doing out of the ego? If you're being a vegetarian out of fear, then you're really not coming from a loving, authentic, healing place. If you are not being a vegetarian out of fear or out of self-consciousness, anything that you're doing out of fear is not helpful. Fear is not the motivation for a person who is truly enlightened. Now, if I'm a vegetarian and I'm doing it out of a place of peace and non-judgmental choice, that's a great thing for me to do. But if I'm doing it because I'm so terrified all the time about what's going to happen to my body, then the truth is I'm not coming from a truly, authentically loving place. So you definitely want to ask yourself, where are you controlling yourself because you are afraid? Where is it that you're not doing something because you think it's going to make you less spiritual? You're not superior over somebody that eats a hamburger. And somebody that does it differently from you, that doesn't make you necessarily superior to them. It says right here in the way of mastery, where am I denying my humanity in order to present an image to another? Where am I getting up and going to the same job every day when I know in the depth of my being that I just do not want to be there anymore? Where are you doing something because you think you ought to, but in the depth of your being, you know it's not something you really want to do anymore. I mean, are you in a relationship that really thrills you and excites you and makes you feel like you are expanding and growing? Or are you just in that relationship out of habit because you don't really, because you're afraid to allow yourself to choose for something that would be more exciting to you? You know what I mean? It's very important that now, in the end, like Renew was saying, I feel like I can't listen to God's voice when I eat eggs. Well, if you feel like you can't listen to God's voice when you eat eggs, then you need to stop eating eggs or change your mind about eating eggs so that you can hear God's voice whether you eat eggs or not. What's important is that you recognize it is your choice, because there is no sin. There's not going to be anything that you do that the loving God is going to condemn you for. And since you can never be condemned by love, take the pressure off of yourself. You know, take the pressure off yourself. It's not like reality is going to kick your butt because you eat a hamburger and you think you're a vegetarian. God isn't going to punish you for that. You will do a good job of punishing yourself for that. If you feel guilt about it, you will make yourself sick, or you will make yourself feel contracted or fearful. There is no punishing God. There is no punishing God. There is no punishing God. There is no God that punishes. There is no creator that punishes. There is a loving creator that lovingly corrects and heals. There's a loving creator that lovingly corrects and lovingly heals. There is no God of condemnation. So if you're not doing it perfectly, then nobody is going to condemn you for that. You may condemn you for that, but nobody else who's conscious, innocent, and loving, no one like that is going to condemn you. So I'll ask you again, where are you getting up and going about something and doing something every day, the same thing, when you know deep down inside it's not something you want to do anymore? Are you on a job that you absolutely do not enjoy going to every day? Then you're being inauthentic. Are you in a relationship that you know absolutely doesn't do a doggone thing for you? You don't get any juice out of it, any love, any sense of growth, but you're in it. Then you're being authentic. Are you seeing yourself as lacking or in poverty or broke? Then you're being inauthentic. It's easy to tell when you're being inauthentic. So, to live authentically in some sense is to live alone. To live authentically in some way is to live alone. Now, what does that mean? Well, to live alone simply means that you no longer are run by needing to look a certain way. Like how I look, I never have been a person that made a big deal out of dressing in the latest style. It's when you wake up, you don't allow yourself to be ran by a need to look a certain way, to succeed in a certain way. I remember when I first started out teaching and wanted to be a motivational speaker, how one of my greatest aspirations was to one day be on the Oprah show or something like that, and that's beautiful if that happens. But as part of my own spiritual evolution, I realized it doesn't really mean anything. The only thing that means anything is for me to be willing to show up for those beings that the Holy Spirit sends to me for me to share my truth with. It doesn't matter. Fame doesn't matter. Power, fame, money, physical pleasure ultimately don't really matter. What matters is coming from a loving place. What matters is coming from an innocent heart. So to live alone simply means that you no longer run by needing to look a certain way. You no longer run by the need to succeed in a certain way so that the judgment of the world would nod its head and give you a 10 instead of a 1. I no longer need the accolades of the world in order for me to feel good about myself. I no longer have to have thousands or millions of people who listen to me in order for me to feel like I am a good teacher or a good demonstrator. All of those things are things I used to think when I did not have the level of spiritual maturity that I have right now, and that was perfect at that time. And so, in a sense, I do live alone. I'm no longer run by needing to look a certain way. That's why I'm chilled out here in this robe, you all. I don't feel like putting on clothes all the time. I want to chill out. I want you to feel like you can chill out. I want this to be a relaxing teaching, learning situation for us. So if I feel like putting on a robe, I teach in a robe. If I feel like putting on a suit, I teach in a suit. Why? Because it really doesn't matter. What matters is what comes through me, not the form, not what I'm wearing, not how I look. So I don't need the world's approval. In the way of knowing, the mind comes to grasp a very simple metaphysical truth. So what is it that you come to realize if you're in the way of knowing? You come to understand a very simple truth. Would you like to know what that very simple truth is? Here it is. I and I alone am creating my tomorrows. I'd like for you to repeat that. This is on page 331. I'd like for you to repeat that with me. I and I alone are creating my tomorrows. Close your eyes and say that with me. I and I alone am creating my tomorrows. I and I alone am creating my tomorrows. So what does that say? You and you only are creating what happens to you tomorrow. Whatever's going to happen to you tomorrow, you're going to create it. You are creating, not your ego, you, not your self-concept, but you. Well, Elizabeth, I'm glad I'm calming your pup down. I'm glad I'm having a profound effect on puppies. That's what I've been working for all these years, is to be able to affect the consciousness of puppies. I and I alone am creating my tomorrows. Say that. I and I alone am creating my tomorrows. The next sentence says, if I create inauthenticity now, I can rest assured that I will experience inauthenticity tomorrow. So what is that saying? If I'm not authentic now, then I can rest assured that I'm going to experience the result of being inauthentic in my future. So my future is created from the energy that I'm putting out in my present moment. So if I create inauthenticity now, I can rest assured that I will experience it tomorrow. The next sentence says, if I create imprisonment for my soul now, I will experience imprisonment for my soul tomorrow. So people go, well, what does that mean? Well, all you have to do is work backwards. What would be creating imprisonment for your soul would be needing to look a certain way and creates imprisonment for your soul. Needing to succeed in a certain way that the world approves of, that creates imprisonment for your soul. Caring about the judgment of the world, that creates imprisonment for your soul. Getting up and going to the same job every day, or being in a relationship that you don't have any inspiration or love or appreciation in, that creates imprisonment for the soul. For instance, if you're controlling your diet, but that you're doing all of it out of fear, that creates imprisonment for the soul. So whenever you are asking questions about what you're reading, all you have to do is just go back over what you've read, and you will see that the book itself explains itself. You don't have to figure out A Course in Miracles. You don't have to figure out the way of mastery. All you have to do is get your thinking out of the way. Get your need to think you know what's going on out of the way. Get the need to try to fit everything into your way of thinking out of the way. Look with an open mind down on the teaching that you're studying, and you'll see that it answers all the questions that you have. So here is the simple metaphysical truth. I'll say it again. I and I alone am creating my tomorrows. If I create in authenticity now, I can rest assured that I will experience it tomorrow. If I create imprisonment for my soul, now I will experience it tomorrow. Because creation is eternal. What is it that lasts forever? Creation. A creation of God is permanent. It is immortal. It is eternal. It never, ever ends. If it's something that love created, if it's something that God created, it is eternal. So anything that perishes, anything that does not last, anything that comes and goes, that is not an eternal creation of love. It is a temporary creation. I put it this way, it's a temporary making, but it's not an eternal creation. When you forget your spiritual identity, when you forget that you are an eternal being, when you forget that you are an extension of God, everything you make out of the idea that you are separate, none of it ever lasts. None of it is ever permanent. That's how we know this world and everything in this world is not the ultimate creation of God, because there's nothing in this world that is permanent. Everything in this world is perishable. So we know that this world is not a reflection of the ultimate truth of God. It is something we've made. When I say we've made, I'm talking about at the soul level, not at the ego human level. So it says, beloved friends, you were created to create. You were created to create. You were created to extend what's eternal. You were created to extend a love that never ends. You were not created to make things that do not last. What else were you created out of? You were created out of an overflow of joy and love. You were extended out of an overflow of love. Think about that. You were created out of an overflow of joy and love. So what is it you're supposed to do? You are supposed to live joyously. So how do you live joyously? You live joyously by living lovingly of yourself. You live lovingly of yourself. So how do you live lovingly of yourself? How do I do that? How do I live lovingly of myself? Well, you live lovingly of yourself by daring to consider yourself is so important. You are important. You are so important that you have an obligation. What is your obligation? You're so important that you have an obligation. What is your obligation? Your obligation is never to settle for less than your own authenticity. Don't ever settle for less than being your own authentic self. Now, your authentic self is not an angry self. Being authentic is not being angry. Being authentic is not being angry. Oh, good. I know I must be doing this good because my throat did an extra jump just then. Living lovingly means stop going off on people, stop attacking people, stop blaming people, stop projecting on people, stop seeing yourself as separate from people. Living lovingly is living peacefully. It's not complicated. Stop going off. Control yourself. When you're ready to get angry and blame somebody, take a breath. Don't do it. Go for a walk. Get in your car and drive. See, it's not hard. It's just a matter of motivation. If I don't want to attack you, I have to be motivated to not attack you. That's one of the most common questions I get, well, how do I be loving? Well, that's all we've been talking about. To stop doing stuff that you don't really want to do in your heart. Stop caring about what other people think and want to be a messenger of truth in the world. See everyone as one with you, as part of you. Don't do to others what you wouldn't want done to you in terms of being mean and painful and spiteful. That's what you do. I'm going to keep it simple. I know the mind is going to want to make this complicated, but it ain't. It ain't. Sometimes being authentic requires beginning the process of discovering what is authentically yours and not merely the influence of others. So what's really yours? In other words, where are you still being inauthentic? Where are you responding with a smile when you're actually feeling angry? Where are you responding with an okay when on the inside you really want to say no? Where are you responding in fear to some substance that you're putting in your body? For example, when you say, I can't eat that because it's a very bad substance. I want to be healthy, so I can't eat that. Well, it's that very fear that's creating a tomorrow of unhealthiness. I know this may upset some people, but the way of mastery says it's your fear that's creating the unhealthiness and not what you're eating. Now, that's not to say that for you, there may be choices that you need to make around your diet that works for you because you believe that it really actually will. And so therefore you should do it. So I'm not telling you what you should eat. What I am saying from the way of mastery is you don't want to do it with fear. You don't want to eat with fear. You don't want to do anything from fear. You want to do it because you love to do it. Love heals all things. What is it that heals everything? Love. If we loved each other, there wouldn't be a government shutdown right now. If we loved each other, there wouldn't be racism. There wouldn't be attack. There wouldn't be anyone lacking food, clothing, or shelter. Like right now, just at the level of the physical, we have the capacity to feed everybody in the world right now and to help each other. It's fear that keeps us from doing it. It's unconsciousness. It's inauthenticity. It's forgetting who we are. But love heals all things. You know, that's the thing I admired the most about Martin Luther King, was that Martin Luther King was constantly talking about peace and love and nonviolence. And Martin Luther King was also always talking about loving all children, all people, regardless of their race. It wasn't just about black folk. It was about all of us, with an emphasis on what, you know, black people at that time were going through. But the point is, his message was a message of love. Any great spiritual teacher is going to have a message of love because it's love that heals all things. It's love that transmutes all things. It's love that embraces all things. And it's love that transcends all things. So I want to ask you a question. Where are you not allowing love to be your reality? Where is it that you're still holding grievances? Where are you still projecting and blaming others? So let me look at some of the comments here. Diana says, love makes the decision. Don't make the decision in fear. That's right. That's right. Omani says, love heals all things. Love heals all. Carla says it's either a call for love or a forgiveness lesson. Another comment is that it's truth. Kathy says love heals all things. Gratitude for this focus of love, attention to love. Phoenix says love heals all things. Love transmutes all things. Alita says, if I live in love, I can't go wrong. You know, what I love is that what we're doing when we come together as Mighty Companions, we're not using this class as an opportunity to just expound on our personal wisdom and ask a lot of analytical questions. What we are doing together is we are remembering what the way of mastery is saying. We're remembering what the way of mastery is teaching. So you are my friends. You're my beloved friends. So what is it that we need to consider right now? Carolyn says the two choices, love or fear. That's right. Carolyn, that's right. Those are only two choices. Let's keep it simple. Bridget says love is a harmonizer. If we had loved each other, our entire world would be in harmony right now. And Phoenix says love is what we are. And you're right, Phoenix, that's what we are. And our work is to get rid of every block that keeps us from recognizing that love is what we are. And I agree, Kathy, I have a lot of spaces in me that has the room to grow love. Also, that's why we're in this together. That's why we have each other. That's why I call us mighty companions. This is more than a class. This is more than a class. This is a meeting of our love tribe, our mighty companion tribe. So don't be in a hurry to put this lesson aside. You want to listen to this lesson a few times. And wherever you see a question instead of a statement, wherever you see a question, that's where I stop and do that. Love is always compassionate, understanding, and healing. Love is strong, but love is never tough in the sense of attack mode. So if you mean love is tough in that it's authentic and it's true and it doesn't change in what it is, then it's tough. But if you think love is tough means you go off on somebody and you attack them, that is not the kind of tough love that the way of mastery is talking about. And remember, you don't have to believe this. It is so important to get that this is not about you having to agree with what the way of mastery is saying. This is a curriculum that is just explaining itself and is promising that those who will do what it asks will get the results of love that it promises. I am not trying to convert anybody in my classes. The way of mastery is not trying to convert you. If this is the truth, it's the truth whether any of us agree with it or not. But it's saying to us, whenever you see a question when you're studying this, instead of a statement, you want to take a minute and you want to take some time to consider that question quietly. And you want to allow the answer to come up out of your own innocence. The answer will come up from within you in its own innocence. So then ask yourself. Now remember, an authentic expression of yourself is an expression of yourself that ultimately is coming from love and being true to yourself. So you need to ask yourself this question. Ask yourself this question. Let's write down. It's not my opinion. Everybody's got opinions. I have an opinion. Everybody that's watching this right now has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. So again, your opinion matters to you more than to anybody else. So it would make sense to me if you made sure that you had opinions that gave you life, that gave you joy, that moved you, because your opinion doesn't really matter to anybody else, really, unless they give it meaning to them. But your opinion is having an effect on you. So remember, whatever statement you say, that's what you are going to create. So if you think love is tough, then you are going to attract people to you who are real tough with you, with their love. And if you're okay with that, let me, my battery's about to go out. Let me plug in here so I can still see your questions, because I'm monitoring what you're doing. And I want to be able to see what you're saying to me. it's always interesting to me how, no matter what you do sometimes when your ego is trying to interfere with what you're doing, it still comes up with something, you know. So what I've learned from doing this is just take it in stride and take my time. This is not a professional studio, and the world isn't going to come to an end if I stop and something goes wrong and I fix it, right? So ask yourself this: what changes can I make so that I'm truly showing up in a more authentic way? What changes can I make so that I'm showing up in a more authentic way? What changes can you make? Notice it didn't say what changes your mother needed to make. Didn't say what changes your boss, your friends, your mate, what I needed to make. It says, what changes can you make so that you're truly showing up in a more authentic way? For those of you that truly choose to, for those of you who truly choose to, you will find that if you abide with the message of this lesson, if you really live with the message of this lesson. So how do you live with the messages of this lesson? You engage the simple, quiet questions that are asked. That's why I stop, because I know you can read, I can read, but what we want to do is we want to bring this to life, right? So we can hear it, but at the same time, stay on point. So you want to engage the simple, quiet questions that are being asked. You want to contemplate certain key thoughts that were repeated. Much movement can occur. Much movement can happen. A lot of liberation can happen. Why? You are Christ. You are the one self. You are part of the one self that we all share, which is called the Christ. The one self that was created by love that we all share in this material is called the Christ. And since you are the Christ, since you are an extension of the love of God, since you are a creation of God, you are free in the world of space and time. You are free to know that you are the Christ as deeply as possible. That just means you're free to know that you are authentically love. You are the truth. And with that, peace be unto you always. Peace be unto you always. Peace be unto you always. Wow. So I'm going to do a quick review of these questions. I'm so glad we had a chance to go through this together. It means so much to me. I felt your presence. I feel your love. I feel your healing energy. I'm so in love with all of you. In love. See, like you can jump in a swimming pool, you can jump into love. So when I say I'm in love with you, I mean we're all in love together. Those of you who would like to make a financial expression of appreciation for my classes, as I am a full-time teacher, thank you very much for doing that. And you can go to my website, Earl Purdy, www.earlpurdy.com. And you can also use Venmo and use my email address, earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. Thank you so much for being willing to be channels to financially support my teaching ministry. I'm available for one-on-one sessions called Clarity Sessions. There is a financial investment for those sessions. I make hundreds and hundreds of classes available for free on my website, on Facebook, and also on YouTube. Literally hundreds. So regardless of your financial situation, you can access what I share. But for those of you who want to go deeper, I'm available for one-on-one sessions called Clarity Sessions. Go to my website. You can self-book for those sessions, and it explains in detail. I started my spiritual path as an astrologer. Astrology for the soul. It's so helpful. Can get you in touch with so many helpful things to make your life easier. It works with everything we're studying. If you're open to that, then I use that in our sessions also. Absolutely. Well, you're welcome, Carla. And I have a call for love, and I'm love, and so are you. So spread these videos. On Thursdays, I do Hardcore Course in Miracles on Thursdays, okay? 7 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook. 1 o'clock on Sundays, I speak in front of a live audience on Facebook Live. And guess what? You can tune into that 1 o'clock Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page. And of course, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, we have the Way of Mastery. My real self feels great. And all of your love is helping to give me another perception of my body. So, y'all are so cool. Let me go back through the questions right quick that we need to ask ourselves, okay? Alrighty. Here we go. So, the doorway, don't forget the name of this section was The Doorway to Greater God Consciousness. The Doorway to Greater God Consciousness. The Doorway to Greater God Consciousness. Serve only the voice of truth. Serve only the voice of truth within yourself. Serve only the voice of truth. Serve only the voice of truth within yourself. What do you feel in the core of your being? What do you feel in the depth of your being? How do you act when you have an innocent heart? The innocent heart is not needy. 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 The innocent heart doesn't need anyone to agree with it. The innocent heart doesn't need anyone to agree with it. The innocent heart doesn't wait for approval. When you're in your innocent heart, you don't need anyone approval. When you're in your innocent heart, you do not need anyone's approval. The innocent heart knows it is innocent. And when you have an innocent heart, you act from your innocent heart. If it's an innocent heart, it's not attached to the opinions of others or the opinions of the world. When you think you're being authentic, stop a minute, take a breath, and tell the truth. Allow whatever changes that need to occur. Yes. Where are you being inauthentic? Where are you just showing up the way you think you should? Where are you being inauthentic? Where are you just showing up where you think you should? Whatever you do, don't do it out of fear and judgment. Whatever you do, try not to do it out of fear and judgment. If you are doing something, try not to do it out of fear or judgment. Where are you going to the same job every day, doing the same thing every day, even though you know it's not what you're into anymore? So to be authentic can mean to seem to live alone. What does that mean, to seem to live alone? You no longer run by needing to look a certain way. Don't be ran by needing to look a certain way. No longer judge yourself by how the world judges success. don't need the world's accolades and approval. Be true to yourself. It's you and you alone that creates your tomorrows. It's you and you alone that creates your tomorrows. If you create in an inauthentic way now, that's what you're going to experience tomorrow. If you create imprisonment for your soul, you will experience it tomorrow. Remember, creation is eternal. Creation is eternal. You were created out of an overflow of joy and love. You were created out of an overflow of joy and love. You were created out of an overflow of joy and love. You were created out of an overflow of joy and love. I was created out of an overflow of joy and love. You live joyously. Live joyously. Dare to consider that you are important. You are important. Say it to yourself. I am important. I am important. I am important. You are important. You are important. I am important. I am important. You are important. You are important. Love heals all things. Love heals all things. Love heals all things. Mighty companions, I feel so much better in my body because of you and sharing with you. You're such a blessing. God bless you. I love you. And may the course be with you. Appreciate you all so much.